tough day for Tesla as a big delivery miss crushes the stock. CEO Elon Musk is going head-to-head with the SEC in court. In fact, he just walked out. Let's get to Phil LeBeau with all the developing details. Hey, Phil.
And Melissa, while it may have been a rough day for Elon Musk in terms of looking at Tesla's shares and how they were beaten down after the Q1 deliveries, this appearance in court went about as well as could be expected for him, short of the judge outright dismissing the SEC complaint that he should be held in contempt of court. It was pretty clear over the course of an hour and a half that the judge was really zeroing on the question of whether or not the agreement between the SEC, Elon Musk, and Tesla when it comes to overseeing and approving his financial communications, his tweets, if it was too vague. And as a result, that's something that should be worked out between the two parties. So at the end of the hour and a half, Judge Nathan said 3 words: work this out. Then she ordered the attorneys for the SEC, attorneys for Elon Musk, to spend 2 weeks, get together at least for 1 hour during the 2 weeks, and see if they could modify the SEC agreement with Elon Musk when it comes to his financial communications. And again, he has to respond, or their attorneys have to respond within 2 weeks about whether or not they could work out a modification of that agreement. Here's Elon Musk talking with us as he left court today.
Very impressed with Judge Nathan. Judge Nathan's just, I think, an outstanding representative of the judiciary. Very impressive. Their arguments were excellent.
Do you think you can work this out with the SEC over the next 2 weeks?
Most likely.
And I'm sure they probably will work something out. Melissa, one last thing. I was in court and I was sitting in the jury box, so it allows you to have a chance to see everybody, the plaintiffs, the lawyers, see their faces as opposed to sitting in the back with the rest of the people who were in the courtroom. And Elon Musk was engaged throughout this entire hearing, but as it was clear the judge was not going to find him in contempt of court, at least not today, you could see his demeanor starting to improve as the hearing went on. So again, we'll find out within the next 2 weeks whether or not they can work out some modification to the policy of how Tesla will monitor and approve his financial communications.
Does Musk have to be in that meeting, in that mandatory at least 1 hour meeting? I'm just wondering because, you know, in walking into the courthouse, Phil, I think that you got the best soundbite of Elon Musk. It's not even a soundbite because he didn't say anything really all day. And that's when somebody asked him if he respected the justice system. He said yes. You said, how about the SEC? Yeah. And he just grimaced. Classic Elon Musk grimace.
I don't know if he has to be in those meetings. I think it's mainly between legal counsel for the SEC and the lawyers for Elon Musk. So I would be surprised if he'll be required to be in those meetings. But remember, Melissa, we went into today and everybody was saying, wow, are they going to strip him of the CEO job? Are they going to impose some massive fine on him, find him in contempt of court? And it was very clear early on that the judge really does not want to go down the contempt of court route. She believes that they can work this out.
All right. Phil, thank you. Phil LeBeau in Lower Manhattan in front of the courthouse. All right, let's trade test. By the way, just monitoring his Twitter feed, nothing for 20 hours. So maybe he will sort of stay off it until something's worked out. Where do we go with Tesla? We saw more than 8% decline on the delivery numbers. The concern was the shortfall, the massive shortfall in the S and X deliveries, which could mean a whole lot of things. Maybe underlying demand is not there. Maybe the federal tax credit, maybe that's really impacting demand there. Maybe there's cannibalization because of the Model 3.
And the competition that's out there that everybody keeps talking about, the competition starting to catch up. But, you know, it depends on who you want to listen to right now. I mean, are you talking about Tesla, the car company? Are you talking about Tesla, the technology company? I mean, that's really what it comes down to, because we had Catherine Wood sitting here not too many weeks ago talking about this stock being a $4,000 stock and laying out all the reasons because of data that's been saved and all the rest of the technology side of what Tesla is. So it really does depend, Mel. I mean, this was a terrible number that they reported. Absolutely terrible. No doubt about it. Down 31%. That's awful. Worst in history. That's awful. So that is something that I think that they're going to have to grapple with. And I think we're going to still see this push and pull on where Tesla goes. Do the Ron Barons of the world, are they right? Or is, you know, many of these analysts who continue to say $200 is the price target that it should be at?
It may be a matter of time frame, too, in terms of who is right on that front.
Yeah, look, I don't know what Ron Baron is seeing, so I'm going to be very clear on that. They said they have sufficient cash to continue. I mean, what does that mean? For a company that was cash strapped, they now actually have contraction in growth. They've got $11 billion in debt, $3.6 billion in non-recourse debt. They've got, essentially a company that really they've got almost a $5 billion obligation to Panasonic. They've got suppliers that haven't been paid. I mean, I don't understand how there's anything about this. I mean, forget tech company. I mean, why haven't they raised money, to me, is the bigger issue. And I think it's just a matter of time.
So, interestingly enough, today I heard an interview you had with Tony Sacconaghi early today. Yeah. I mean, for some reason now, it seems like there's a lot of analysts or a lot of investors are contemplating what this company looks like with a different CEO. I mean, I heard it on numerous occasions. I heard one investor say, well, why wouldn't they get a Mark Fields? You know, he's sitting on the sideline, this, that. And, I have to think sooner or later, I know this hearing went pretty well tonight, but that's got to be a distinct possibility. The other thing, when you think about it, I heard Max Levchin on the network earlier today talking about Elon, saying what a genius he is and this and that, or whatever. Don't you think at some point he just wants to go do space and let these mere humans do electric vehicles here on Earth? I was just saying. So I actually think there's a distinct possibility in the not so distant future. He's chairman, not CEO. He focused on SpaceX. Let somebody else fix this problem.
SEC makes a great scapegoat too.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, that's what I think this
really,
whole thing's about.
But I mean, if he's found not in contempt or they hammer this out in some way, he is not forced to relinquish the CEO role. But then he turns around and says, you know what? I am going to step aside and be chairman or chief creative, whatever you want to call me, and let somebody on the operations side take over as CEO. What would the stock do?
I think actually it might be bullish.
I think it would be.
Right?
I mean,
Maybe
I think the
6
stock would
months
go
ago we
up a
have a
lot.
different conversation. I think now it's bullish. And quickly, I think the reason why they didn't think that, last year we heard they'd be cash flow positive by the end of last year. Obviously, that didn't come to fruition. That might be one of the reasons. And Dan gives it to me on almost a nightly basis. Yeah. And the other night I thought Tesla had a very good chance to break out to the upside through this trend line. And for a day it looked like it was right, but it stopped dead there. So what does it mean now? Well, look at the lows in October and look at the lows back in last April, which comes in around 248 to 250. It seems like that's where it wants to trade.
Let's see what a technician would say about those
real
levels.
technician.
Yes, a real one, not just
How
one
exciting.
who spouses things in the corner over there. Our next guest says Tesla shareholders may be in for even more pain. Let's go off the charts with Todd Gordon. He's over at the Plasma. Hey, Todd.
Hey, Melissa, what Guy said. No, just kidding. First, before we get down to that level that Guy correctly identified, let's look at the long-term chart of Tesla. And I would refer back to classic Dow theory, or a little bit more advanced, which is Elliott theory, which says that markets complete phases unfold in 3 particular trend efforts. So the early one was right there. That's number 1. Big breakout here. The second, and then this is the third, and I believe final push before we get a significant correction. Looking at the relative strength index, RSI, all it does is measure rate of change or momentum. You can get price moving up, but at a decreasing rate of change, eventually hits the apex and it sells off. What you'll see is very strong relative strength index, high momentum in that breakout. Ever since we've been pressing up against the $400 region, RSI is nowhere to be seen. Lots of loss of momentum, so not confirming this higher price. So that's long term. Get down to the daily chart here. As Guy said, big time support right around the $250 mark. Now we're very much range bound, and for all the bad news in the stock in the news cycle, you think we should be through support. We're not yet there. I hold Tesla. I have a half position in my portfolio. I'm not happy about it. If we're to break this 250 mark, as Guy mentioned, I will bail, and I think a lot of other people will come in and start selling. Interestingly, in the options market on the put side, the 250 strike that expires in April, the monthlies, that's the biggest open interest, so I wonder if that's going to be a target. So again, below there, and this chart is in contempt of, let's say, the uptrend.
Todd, so would you say that right now it looks like this is the kind of stock that you can trade within the range?
I think the risk to reward, I have no idea what's going to happen in the future. I think as traders, we have to admit that. But the R to R, the reward to risk is so small because, again, I think the prevailing sentiment is so bearish, yet support hasn't been broken. That kind of tells you something. So what would it cost you, $5 or $8 to potentially get a retest of the old high? I mean, what is that? That's a 20, 30, 40 to 1 reward to risk ratio. Maybe it's only a 10% chance of occurrence, but that's a good trade.
All right, Todd, thank you. Todd Gordon, tradinganalysis.com. Pete, what's the volatility look like in Tesla?
You know what? It's gotten a little. It's elevated a little bit. I mean, we've seen a couple of different individual stocks, even though we've watched volatility itself in the broader market coming down. But there are some stocks, this one, Boeing, some of these names, where you still see implied volatility is a little bit higher. I think that's the only way, the best way to play Tesla. And I've said that forever, but it's just a volatile stock. It can take your knees out at any moment in time. But if you've got a risk reward of an options, particularly an options call spread, if you're looking for the upside, if it can hold support that Todd's talking about where it is right now and maybe has some upside, give away a little bit upside. Put on a call spread. That's exactly what I have right now.
Yeah, what is your position in Tesla? Because people who watch will think you're short.
I'm short the stock.
Okay.
I'm short stock. I've been mostly playing it through options, and I think it's been the way
short
to do it.
Short via options as opposed to...
Like
no,
buying
I am
puts or
short
what?
physical stock
Okay,
right now.
all right.
It's not a massive position. The way to play this is in options, and as I say, I think the first quarter, the 10Q that comes out in mid-May is I would want to be playing my options with that as an expiration. Having said all that, we talk about this stock and range and risk reward. I think the price has gotten almost meaningless, but I also will just point out the 5-year chart on this stock, you've lost money. Okay, why be in this trade? You've lost money. And if you think about a risk-reward basis, that's what I hear everybody talking about. There's a lot of volatility for a stock that's done nothing. Are you really going to get these turns? Are you going to get these statements that come out, some that are real, some that are not right? I don't think so.
All right. Guy, last word.
It would be interesting to hear what to your point, what Ron Barron says. I'm not going to, he's probably not watching. He's not going to sort of take you on, but interesting what he has to say based on what we've seen over the last 24 hours. That's really the voice that I'd like to hear again.